You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Tools are getting better, output is getting worse. Both are true.
It is, it's the great paradox of the internet right now. We have never had more sophisticated technology for creating things yet.
Yeah.
Yet the actual experience of consuming those things feels, I don't know, increasingly hollow.
It really does. Welcome to another session of Vocal Technologists, where we sit down and properly nut out the absolute weirdness of modern tech. I reckon we're watching the internet go through this massive identity crisis.
Absolutely.
Like on one side, we have this automated, hyper-efficient machine just churning out endless content. But on the other, there is this desperate human craving for, something real, something messy, something that actually feels like it was made by a person.
We're caught right in the middle of those two opposing forces, and it's basically fracturing the web as we know it. The models that built the last 2 decades of the internet are just buckling under the weight of artificial generation.
Right. So for you listening, we are going to pick apart how this automated generation is quietly breaking traditional search traffic. Yep.
And why these incredibly messy early 2000s social media concepts are roaring back to life as a direct result, and how the biggest independent creators are quietly turning into literal conglomerates just to survive the shift.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It's huge to get through. So let's start with the immediate tension. Platforms are getting absolutely flooded with automated content, and the platforms themselves are panicking.
The panic is palpable behind the scenes. Like, take LinkedIn as a prime example. They're actively suppressing what developers and engineers are now calling AI slop.
AI slop.
Wow.
Yeah, and the irony here is just thick, because they actually embedded generative writing tools into their own product.
Yeah.
To help users post more frequently.
Because they wanted the engagement.
Exactly.
Wait, so they handed everyone the tools to make the mess, and now they're punishing people for using them. That feels a bit dodgy.
It seems completely contradictory on the surface. But there is this fascinating and really crucial distinction they are making in how their recommendation engine actually works. They're drawing a hard algorithmic line between drafting and thinking.
Drafting and thinking.
Yeah. So using a tool to clean up your grammar, or structure a post, or summarize some research, the algorithm does not penalize that.
Right.
But if the machine is doing the actual thinking, you lose distribution entirely.
Okay, stop right there. How does an algorithm, which is, just a bunch of math, even judge who is doing the thinking? It cannot read a mind.
It looks for absence, specifically the absence of first-party data.
First-party data.
Right. A generative model cannot hallucinate a specific internal observation from your physical workplace. It can't generate a unique client outcome that just happened to you in a meeting.
Ah, I see.
If a post lacks that lived, highly specific human experience, it gets flagged by the system. The model detects the generic predictive text patterns of language models.
So it's looking for those slightly weird, specific details that only a human could know, the messy bits.
Exactly that. Like, it might still be visible to your direct connections if they go actively looking for it, but the algorithm will not push it out to the wider feed.
Wow.
So you have individuals posting 10 times a day with this generic automated content, and they are just burning through their visibility slots. They get zero reach because the platform absolutely refuses to amplify predictive thought.
It's, using automation to write is like cooking.
How so?
Well, a food processor is an amazing tool for chopping the ingredients, right?
Yeah.
It saves you heaps of time.
Right.
But the second you let the machine choose the recipe, guess the seasoning, and do the actual thinking, the meal tastes like absolute plastic. The platforms are terrified of their feeds turning into plastic.
Which is a totally valid fear,
Yeah.
because if you look at the wider web, those same platforms are terrified of losing the traffic game entirely. We're witnessing a search referral collapse.
Oh, this is the part that is keeping digital publishers awake at night. The major search engines are aggressively rolling out these AI overviews that just keep users on the search page.
Yeah, by summarizing the answer right there, you don't even need to click a link to a website anymore.
The data on this is brutal, isn't it?
It's staggering. These overviews are cutting website referral clicks by almost half compared to traditional search results.
Half. I mean, that is catastrophic if your entire business model relies on people clicking through to your site to look at ads or buy subscriptions.
It is an existential threat to the publishing industry. Look at Reddit. Their stock plummeted over 20% following an earnings report where they actually beat expectations on almost every single financial metric.
Right, the underlying business was healthy.
Very healthy. But the one major thing they missed was search referral traffic. The squeeze is so intense that they're actually questioning the value of their $60 million licensing deal with the biggest search provider.
Let me get this straight. They take millions of dollars to let the search engine train its models on their human conversations.
Yep.
But that same trained model is now summarizing the answers so well that it is cannibalizing the traffic Reddit needs to survive. That is a brutal catch-22.
Publishers are realizing that feeding the machine might mean starving themselves in the long run. They basically traded their most valuable asset.
Authentic human dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They traded it for a short-term cash injection, and now the buyer is building a wall around that data.
Which brings up a much weirder question. Like, if the machines are summarizing everything, can you manipulate what they say? Because an SEO test showed you can actually train major language models to position your brand exactly how you want.
The mechanics of this are wild. Yeah. And it completely upends how marketing teams think about search. The test proved that if you align your messaging perfectly across all your own channels,
Like your homepage and your about page.
right, and third-party channels like public profiles, the model picks it up as undeniable ground truth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They managed to get most major models to describe their specific target audience accurately within a single week.
I am genuinely skeptical here. 1 week. I mean, changing traditional search rankings takes months of grinding, building links, tweaking keywords. To flip a massive model in a week feels like someone is having a lend of us.
It sounds unbelievable until you understand how the models actually construct answers. They do not crawl the web in real time the way a traditional search index does, evaluating authority link by link.
Right.
They dynamically pull from highly consistent data clusters.
Meaning, if everyone is saying the exact same thing about you, the model just accepts it as a fact.
Precisely. If you remove conflicting signals and just feed it one highly specific, unified narrative, smaller companies can dominate that niche in the machine's mind very quickly.
That's crazy.
It is all about data consensus rather than traditional authority.
So the algorithms are cannibalizing their own traffic with this plastic content, and clever marketers are already figuring out how to manipulate the plastic.
Yeah.
If the feeds are broken and the search results are just synthesized summaries, where are human beings actually going to find real connection? Because from what I am seeing, audiences are violently rejecting this polished, inauthentic stuff.
The rejection is totally measurable. We are looking at a massive trust deficit across the board. Current data shows that 90% of consumers distrust influencers.
90%. So
Yeah.
basically, if you are holding a product on camera, 9 out of 10 people assume you are lying to them.
Essentially, yes. The assumption of bad faith is the default setting for modern internet users.
Huh.
But the nuance here is what actually repairs that trust.
Okay, what is it?
Audiences do not actually mind sponsorships. And they do not even mind the use of generation tools in content creation.
Really?
Yeah. What they despise is the cover-up.
Ah, it is the deception that makes them angry, not the commerce. We all know things cost money to make. We just hate feeling manipulated.
Spot on. The creators who openly discuss what they're being paid for, especially if they use a bit of irony or self-aware humor about the transactional nature of the post.
Yeah, leaning into it.
Exactly. They're read as far more trustworthy than the ones who try to subtly blend it in. Honest disclosure builds trust. Authenticity is no longer about being unpolished or raw. It is about being entirely upfront about what is happening behind the camera.
I reckon that transparency is vital because we are all slipping into this incredibly subtle psychological trap. The research calls it belief offloading.
Oh, this is perhaps the most critical concept to grasp about our current technological era. Belief offloading describes what happens when people let conversational interfaces perform the heavy lifting of forming a judgment.
So instead of testing an idea against my own experience or arguing with my mates about a difficult decision to see if my logic holds up, I just ask a machine to tell me what to think.
And the danger is in the delivery. A conversational model delivers a calm, authoritative, complete-sounding answer in seconds. Let's say you use a model to evaluate a tricky email from your boss.
Or to decide on a career pivot.
Right. The machine gives you a highly structured, logical breakdown. It creates this very seductive feeling of having reached a smart conclusion, but you did not actually do the cognitive work. You outsourced your critical thinking.
You get the answer, but you don't build the mental muscle memory of how to get there.
And over time, that takes a toll. These tools are incredible as a second brain to store data or organize thoughts, but repeated reliance on them risks atrophying our first brain.
Wow.
the part of us responsible for judgment, nuance, ethical wrestling, and personal accountability.
It is exactly like using GPS. You use it so much, you completely lose your internal sense of direction in your own neighborhood. You stop looking at the landmarks and just blindly follow the blue line.
That is a great way to put it.
And culturally, I think we're starting to feel the anxiety of losing that internal compass, which leads directly into this rising demand for the return of messy MySpace-style platforms.
It is a fascinating pivot. People are actively seeking out spaces that feel distinctly unoptimized.
And if you are finding this shift from optimized feeds to human spaces as fascinating as we are, take a second to hit subscribe so we can keep untangling this stuff together. But seriously, MySpace, I have to push back on this a bit. I reckon it isn't just nostalgia for terrible, glittery HTML backgrounds and auto-playing music.
It's not.
Are people actually missing the clunky old tech, or are we just desperate to own our digital living rooms again?
The clunky tech is just a symptom of the actual desire, which is control. It is 100% rebellion against the algorithm.
Right.
Think about what modern social media is. It is a series of uniform, hyper-optimized feeds designed purely to maximize your watch time.
Yeah, every profile looks the exact same. You have a circular profile picture, a bio, and a grid.
Right. But MySpace, for all its glaring aesthetic flaws, gave users full control to build highly expressive, unpredictable self-made spaces.
You could write your own code to change the colors. You could force people to listen to your favorite song when they landed on your page. It was deeply personal.
People are exhausted by feeling like they're just passive data points in an algorithmic slot machine. They are craving digital spaces that feel entirely human, wonderfully messy, and completely under their own control.
We want to walk into someone's digital room and actually see their personality on the walls, not just a sterile feed of viral hooks designed by a machine.
Exactly.
And this shift toward craving genuine human connection over algorithmic perfection is completely rewriting the economics of the internet. It is changing where the massive money flows.
The ad dollars are following the trust. Brand spending on independent creators is projected to hit $21 billion.
$21 billion. I mean, that is not a cottage industry anymore. That is a foundational pillar of the modern economy.
And what is staggering is that the revenue gap between massive traditional publishers and single creators is collapsing. A few years ago, traditional publishers had a 44% revenue advantage over independent creators. That has shrunk to roughly 26%.
So these creators aren't just kids in bedrooms making videos anymore. They are taking over the entertainment industry.
They are quietly becoming literal media conglomerates.
Yeah.
Take one of the biggest names globally, Mr. Beast. His company is not just a digital video channel.
No.
They are restructuring into a massive parent company spanning consumer packaged goods like chocolate, toys, financial services, and even a planned mobile carrier.
A mobile carrier. That is absolutely wild. Why take on the immense headache of physical supply chains, telecommunications regulations, and hardware when you already print money with digital videos?
Because of a deeply unsexy corporate concept called key man risk.
Right. Explain how that works for a video creator.
If a business only generates revenue when one specific person is standing in front of a camera, that business is incredibly fragile.
Yeah.
If that person burns out, gets canceled, or simply wants to retire, the revenue goes to zero overnight.
Wow.
More importantly for these creators, a business with high key man risk is almost impossible to sell to a traditional buyer.
Right. Nobody wants to buy a factory where the only machine that makes money can walk out the door whenever it feels like it.
Exactly. Buyers want a team and an infrastructure that can run without its founder. By hiring traditional media CEOs to build out these diverse physical product lines like chocolates and mobile networks,
They are hedging their bets.
they're hedging against any one social platform failing. They are transforming fleeting internet fame into an asset that can eventually be acquired by a private equity firm or a traditional studio.
But if we look at the other end of the attention spectrum, there is a totally different economic model emerging. I am seeing these apps everywhere pushing microdramas.
Oh, yes.
Platforms like Real Short pumping out these 2-minute, highly emotional soap operas shot vertically.
And the attention metrics they are pulling are staggering. Users are spending 35.7 minutes a day watching these microdramas.
That is heaps of time for a single app. You would think advertisers would be throwing money at a captive audience like that.
You would assume that, but the ad economics are actually terrible.
Why? I mean, if the eyeballs are there, why isn't the money?
Because of the pacing. You cannot fit a standard 15 or 30-second video ad into a 2-minute emotional soap opera without completely ruining the narrative tension.
Oh, I
The
see.
user experience gets destroyed. If a character is crying about a betrayal and suddenly an ad for car insurance pops up, the viewer breaks the immersion and just leaves the app.
So the platforms can't rely on traditional ad breaks.
They have to rely on subscriptions and microtransactions instead. It proves a really interesting point that the industry often ignores. High attention does not automatically equal a good advertising channel.
Just because I am staring unblinkingly at a screen doesn't mean you can sell me something. Context matters just as much as watch time.
Which brings us to the ultimate economic paradox of this whole technological shift. We keep hearing how the models are getting cheaper to run, that the cost of compute is crashing.
Right, the token prices are dropping, but let's pause here. Just to be completely clear, when we talk about a token in this context, what exactly is it?
Think of a token as a syllable, or, a small chunk of a word. It is the literal unit of computing power the model uses to read or generate text.
Okay.
Over a 3-year period, the cost to process those tokens fell by more than 95%.
So the raw material required to run these tools is practically free compared to where it started.
Right, but here is the paradox. Despite that 95% drop in the cost of the raw material, enterprise spending on these generation tools more than doubled in just 6 months, hitting $8.4 billion.
Wait, I need to suss this out. If the price of the thing drops by 95%, how does the overall bill double? That math does not work.
It works because of elastic demand. Cheaper tokens didn't shrink the bills, they just multiplied the usage exponentially. When it became cheap, software engineers integrated the models into absolutely everything. Instead of a piece of software making 100 calls to the model a day to summarize a document, it now makes 10 million calls a day to auto-generate emails, predict code, and format spreadsheets.
It's like finding a supplier who sells bricks for a penny. Instead of saving a fortune on the one house you actually needed to build, you look at the cheap bricks and decide to build 10,000 houses you don't need, and suddenly you're completely broke.
That is exactly what is happening to software margins right now. Traditional software runs on an 80 to 90% gross margin. You build it once, and selling another copy costs almost nothing.
Right.
But software native to these new models runs at a 50 to 60% margin.
Because every time a user clicks a button, the software has to pay for the compute power to generate the answer.
Yes. If a software company charges you a flat subscription rate of $20 a month per seat, but your usage scales infinitely because you are having it write all your reports, the company loses money every time you log in.
Oh, wow. It completely breaks a flat rate subscription model we have all gotten used to over the last decade.
It forces tech companies to rethink how they charge entirely. We are going to see a rapid shift toward per-action or per-outcome pricing simply because they have to survive the underlying compute costs. The era of unlimited flat-rate digital access is ending.
So we have this massive, complex machine running in the background, getting more expensive to operate overall, even as the individual parts get cheaper. If we pull back and look at the big picture of everything we have talked about, it feels like the internet is actively splitting into two entirely different economies.
It is a profound split, and it is happening very quickly. On one side, you have this high-volume, infinite-scale machine churning out automated content, optimizing for search summaries, and costing billions of dollars just to keep the servers from melting.
This is the commodity side of the internet.
Right.
And on the other side, there's this premium market for messy, authentic human connection. It is the rebellion demanding digital living rooms. It is the independent creators building billion-dollar empires because they actually have the hard-earned trust of their audience.
It is a world where trust and transparency are the only real leverage left. Because if a machine can execute any task perfectly and instantly, perfection becomes cheap.
And that leaves us with a genuinely provocative thought to take away. As the tools handle all the flawless execution, our actual flaws, our weird quirks, and our deeply human messes might just become our most valuable commercial asset. Keep an eye on who's doing the thinking in your feed. Vocal Technologist, see you soon.
Spoken Tech for your ears.